as a collective. We see everything as Vasudeva Kutumbakam. We see everything in Anikantvad. We always see things, the pluralist idea of the worldview is essentially an Indian idea per se as well. And many of these universal thoughts are rooted deeply in Indian culture. But you spoke about something very interesting which haunts both them and me, and perhaps I would like to believe is the algorithm. You spoke about social media, and you said don't let social media drown us in the narrative war that is there. So I'm just wanting to understand, how do you deal with the algorithm when the algorithm shows you things only which is one-sided? If you like a dog video, then only dog.
Your own sounding box, right? Like you don't get varied views and opinions.
So then how do you make sure that you also balance the two?
It's just detrimental to your mental health, and it's not adding any real value, right? And if you're on it, and if you're on it for your friends, that's great. If you're on it to learn and inform yourself, then you have to be really vigilant about the kind of content you're consuming, because you have to know that today, for social media and for this algorithm, your mind space is essentially their commodity that they're trading on. So that is how you're paying for it.
Well, what you said is so true about the algorithm. But another aspect of your personality, and I want to touch upon it, is that you dedicated 8 years to Bharatanatyam, and you did this alongside a degree and a career. So most people, they leave their passion per se behind in that sense. You continued pursuing your passion, finished your degree, so to say, and then continue to perform, is what I was trying to get at. And that in itself is quite commendable. What keeps you going when it comes to things like this?
I mean, there's many passions that I've let go of that you don't see, like, of course, political relations. But, I mean, Bharatanatyam for me is spiritual. It's my form of seva. I feel like I'm in prayer when I dance. And it's a temple dance form, for those of you that know, and it's a way to tell stories, and it's a way for you to understand the stories of our gods. And for me, I feel closer to my God when I dance. For other people, it may be in prayer, it may be in chanting, it may be in meditation, it may be in cooking. For me, it's dancing. So I have to keep that part of my life alive, for my faith.
And when you talk about dance, there is another aspect, especially when it comes to women, because they are doing so much. And there is a perception that is there that a woman has to be both a global woman and also very locally rooted, especially when it comes to urban India. So my question is that when you have that narrative that is set, and when people see you from that lens, I don't particularly agree that people should be gauged by a particular lens, so to say, but when there is a lens that is given to you, and then you have to play to that lens, in that context, what does feminism mean to you?
So first, I think as a feminist, and I mean, I've grown up in a matriarchy. My mother's house is a matriarchy, and now I'm married into a matriarchy. So both my mother and my mother-in-law are very strong women, and catch them being told what to do by anybody. But I think as a feminist, we'll win on the day that this is no longer a question just for women, right? So your question is whether we should be seen as global citizens or local citizens, and the pressure to be cultural. But I think it starts with educating men and women today. Like, you have to educate the men also in the expectations of women and the way in which they respect women. Like, today, we are different, but we are equal. I don't think that even in my marriage, both of us are equal in every aspect. There are some places where Anant leads, and then there are some places that I lead. But overall, if we meet each other with respect, I think we're equal. Like, we have to go back to our culture as well. Like, India in general was a very matriarchal culture up until the British came. So even if you look at Nama Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadev, what does that mean, right? Mahadev is the husband of Parvati. Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama. What is that? Hanuman is the son of Anjani. All of our gods were known as the sons of their mothers, not the sons of their fathers. So today we have to be able to elevate the conversation of feminism not only as expectations of women, but also in the education we place on our boys. How do we achieve this autonomy? I think A is education, but also it really doesn't matter whose daughter you are, or whose wife you become, or I don't know, or how comfortable you are in your life. You have to be able to have financial independence to be able to make your own decisions. Never be tied to something in your life because you don't have an option to get out. That is a very dangerous place. And if we don't allow for women's financial independence, then we will never achieve full equality in our community.
But a lot has to do with education, and a lot has to do with how education defines rules for them. And in that, one of the things that I've seen is education. And today itself, we had this conversation before you came in, that, one of them asked me saying, how do you define success? And I said, society has taught us to define success by power or fame or money that one has to aggregate. And then a person who's really powerful or a person who's really rich is thought to be really successful. So what is your definition of success?
Power, fame and money are good metrics of success, right? Why are they metrics of success? It's because they're quantifiable. Money allows you scale, it allows you influence, and then you can genuinely make impact at a global level. Fame, again, it allows you to be able to influence other people. And if you have a platform, then only can people hear you, right? Like you've built such a beautiful platform today, and that's why you're being able to influence people around you, right? And then
I'm trying, but it's a little bit off.
but that's why you're able to do such good work, and that's why you're able to keep conversation alive, which is so important. There's many ways to measure success. I think it depends. Like for me, when I started working, it was very difficult for me to genuinely contribute and find the reason to wake up every morning. So then every morning I would keep a benchmark. Have I increased jobs? And that is my running agenda in life, right? So that's one way to measure success. You have to understand how you are measuring your success in whichever field you are in. I think what's also important is that you continue to define success, but your success doesn't define you.
Why is it so important to serve society outside our CAS project or outside the SUPW? Some of them are in high school and it's mandatory in order to do social service. But why social service and serving society such a fundamentally important thing in life?
You can make impact in whatever capacity that you want. Today, I feel like I'm privileged enough to be able to create jobs and have that as my dharma, like you said. Impact as an artist is just about leaving the world as a net positive rather than a net negative when you leave it. So you have to decide what you are and how you're going to contribute to the world. And then it can be in your interactions in your day-to-day life with people. Like leave somebody happier than when they met you. And do it with kindness and inspire people in the next generation. And if you're able to do that, I think you're going to leave the world a better place.
For some of us who are globally aware and read the newspaper every day, which is a mandate for the ones who are sitting out here, this is more applicable to the ones on camera who will perhaps see it later. When USA sneezes, the world yet catches a cold. And therefore, my question to you is, from the perspective of Indian pharmaceuticals and businesses more broadly, how do you think this shift in the geopolitical space as it currently is happening will impact India? And what are the pivots that Indian businesses must take in order to handle this?
See, as businesses, you have to be agile, right? You have to have diversity of markets. You have to be fundamentally lean in your cost structures. I mean, like maximize your margins wherever you can so that you can absorb issues that come like this. That's just a global rule of business to stay competitive in a capitalist world. Pharmaceuticals, I think we're good right now. Like if you look at it, I think the world needs us more than we need global markets. I think we've entrenched ourselves pretty strongly as the world leader, as manufacturers today. So the Iran conflict, I think what plagues us as businesses and what plagues the country as a whole is what we know for a fact is that we're not energy self-reliant. And that is a huge issue. We cannot be a truly global superpower unless we become energy self-reliant. So my belief is that we will be eventually. I hope I get to see it. I think under our Honorable Prime Minister, he's definitely taken this up as a mandate with biogas, solar, things like that. I hope we all get to see and celebrate the day that we can truly be a global superpower.
What you spoke about energy is important, and also another thing that I'm already celebrating in Bombay is that we have better infrastructure. That is something that they've done remarkably well in the country per se. That is in the BJP government.
Of
and I think they've done a great job with it.
Of course.
But when you spoke about pharmaceuticals, one of the things that you mentioned that India has become the pharmacy of the world.
Yeah.
And it is something that essentially, you know, whether it's an undeniable fact.
Yeah.
And what happened with COVID, the world saw, where we supplied medicine all across. But we're seen primarily as a low-cost manufacturing hub by so many people, and not necessarily as a leader in innovation and research per se. And I would like it to be such that the next Nobel laureates come from India, and we have a series where we call Nobel laureates and prime ministers and presidents to come and talk to them. And at that juncture, we're calling somebody from Sweden and we're calling somebody from somewhere else. And yes, we have people from India who won, but the idea that enough importance is not given to research. And how can we change that?
Firstly, low cost is innovation. Just think about the example of like, who knows what these GLP-1 drugs are? Do you guys know what they are? So basically, you know Mounjaro and Ozempic and like this whole trend that's going on. So what these GLP-1 drugs are,
Sure.
all of these Indian companies are working on low-cost GLP-1 drugs. And that is going to transform the diabetes epidemic that we have in our country, right? Because it's important
Correct.
to start promoting medicine at low cost, at least for the people in our country, because they cannot afford these drugs at global prices. What you're talking about is NCEs, like new chemical entities, and developing like groundbreaking technology
Yes,
and
research, yes.
in medicine and to be able to cure disease.
Correct.
We have everything required other than an attitude. I think we can easily get there if we dedicate money and attitude to it. Like what do you need really, like in the stack, right? As a country, you need world-class research institutes and a great talent pipeline, which we have.
We have it,
right? We have amazing regulators with the DCGI and we have local FTAs. We need some global lobbying so that they're taken more seriously, but I think that we can manage. Where we get stuck, I mean, we have the manufacturing capabilities as well.
So why has it not happened till now?
Because our funding infrastructure doesn't exist around it, right? And I think this is true for Indians in every field, is that I think we don't have the risk appetite like the rest of the world does. I think to put in billions of dollars in a drug that may fail, or like 2 out of 10 succeed, that is a very difficult thing to be able to do. So if we have attitude shifts and allocation of those resources and money put behind it, we can easily do it. I think hopefully your generation takes up this mandate and genuinely has that risk-taking appetite and has a safety net below you. I think we can do it. I think family businesses will do it less. I think when we institutionalize research and private entities together,
It'll happen.
it'll happen more.
The other thing is that research, at least in the West, and this is, it's called India's international movement to unite